Okay, I will call the meeting to order. All rise and pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a roll call, please.
Commissioner Kelly? Here. Commissioner Wilson?
Here.
Commissioner Hogan?
Here.
Commissioner London?
Here.
Oh, okay.
Chairman Obranovich?
Here. Okay, well, this is a little bit unusual. We started our meeting a week ago, and we got all the way through staff report, and then we were ready, just about ready, I believe, to hear the applicant's presentation. So if that sounds correct, we'll go ahead and skip forth. Is that fast forward to that point?
That was my indication also,
Okay,
yes.
does anybody, just before we do that, do the commissioners have any comments they need to make before we launch into that in regards to all that? So, okay, go ahead. So this is the minor land division and design review by Raymond Miller, application 20-2. So I believe Mr. Miller is online, so we'd like to hear your presentation, please.
Richard, are you out there?
This is Richard Rosamovich, Area West. Did you ask me a question? Are you out there?
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
This is Richard Rosamovich, Area West.
Second person there.
Go ahead, Richard. Richard, go ahead. There you go. Go ahead, Richard.
Okay, thank you. This is Richard Rosamovich with Area West Engineers. We're the engineers of record for the property owner, Ray Miller. And do I have to be sworn or anything? We've read the staff report and concur with the recommended conditions of approvals and respectfully ask that you approve the project as submitted.
Questions from the commission, of the applicant? Yes, go ahead, Linda. If you want to, should we say our names first? Is that? Yeah, okay, good. Yeah, just say that you're Linda.
Oh, it's Linda Kelly has a question. Under hazardous materials, number 1, it says, will the proposed project involve the handling, storage, or transportation of hazardous materials? And you marked yes. But yet I don't see any more explanation of what kind of hazardous materials and how much and how it's being stored in more detail. So I just want to know what kind of materials are you going to be storing there that are hazardous? It's on page 6
Of the application.
I think that was a question.
It's under hazardous material, it's number 8, page 6.
At the top of the page.
Attachment B, it's the planning application to the planning department. I noticed the same thing. It says, will the project involve the handling, storage of transportation of hazardous material? It was marked yes, and I don't know if that's an error or if there's hazardous materials, but if it's yes, there should be some kind of a list of materials attached.
So this is Richard Rosamovich again. So when we answered the hazardous materials, there will be diesel fuel, there'll be gas, but all the operators and the owners of the facilities will have to file a report and get the proper permits with the fire department and the health department, Placer County Health.
Okay, so you will be storing, are they above ground fuel storage tanks for the equipment?
There is that possibility above ground. Yes, that is correct.
Okay. All right, I think that answers the question. So Mary Beth, is there any additional permits or anything he's going to need that we should be seeing at this point?
Like Richard said, he does have to get environmental health, fire department, those kind of sign-offs. But in order to make your application more complete, since the yes box was checked and under it, it says if yes, attach a list of those materials. If you could provide us that list of materials that will be there, we will at least, have that in the file to go along with it.
Okay, is that okay, Richard?
Yeah, we'll get the proper permit. That's not a problem.
Thank you.
And I think you'd still need to mark yes or no on the one where it says if yes, the next one that says if yes.
Yeah.
Do they need to mark yes or no on that one too? Do you see it? Does he see it on the application? If yes, will the project involve the handling, storage, or transportation of more than 55 gallons, 500 pounds, or 200 cubic feet at any one time? And then, will any of these materials be stored in underground storage tanks? Yes or no? So I think we need an answer on that.
Did you catch that, Richard?
We're not going to have any underground storage facilities.
So you need to mark it no. Okay.
That is correct. No.
Be thorough. Simple as that. Not a problem.
I understand.
Go ahead. Mike Hogan's going to speak.
Here. We're not dead use of the property, so I don't know that the applicant knows. Sorry. We're not designating what's constructed on the property. So I don't know that the applicant could give you accurate information about what hazardous materials, because it would depend on who bought the parcel or what they built. But if you're in business and you have a fuel storage WD-40 like private people have in their garage, all of these things have to go in a locked steel cabinet by order of fire department, and the fire department does inspect the facilities. So I'm thinking he could answer the questions, but I don't know how accurate the answers could be.
Well, I felt like since it was marked yes,
right,
the next paragraph says then give us a list. So that's, either mark it no, but if he marks it no and they are, then that's a problem too. So yeah, it's best to their ability. That's all I think we really require to make it more accurate.
Well, I think that might be applicable to some of the properties that will be leased downstream, and in which case, if a business comes in and it requires additional information, then we might see them again at the planning meeting. Is that correct?
Planning department.
Yeah, just to clarify, when a new business comes in, whomever leases this, they will fill out a business license application, and all these questions will be answered by the people who lease the property. And part of their process requires that they fill out a hazardous waste form and a hazardous material form that has to go to the fire department and to the health department, and air quality will all approve it. So all of that is actually done at the time that a business is brought in, not when the lots are split.
Perfect. I think that answers it. Okay. Any other questions or comments? I guess I had a question. Is the PCWA, you're going to be hooking up to treated water. Do you already have the permits and everything from PCWA, the agreements? Is that done, or is that something that's going to be worked on down the road?
This is Richard Rosamovich. That's all standard. Once the project is approved, we have to have a pre-application meeting with PCWA, and then the property owner enters into an agreement, a pipeline extension agreement. So that's all after the project in front of the planning commission is approved. So that's kind of a standard condition.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and we'll move on. Let me find my place here. Okay, I think so. The next would be we will open this to public comment. So I'll give a moment if there's any questions and that are turning up in our new format.
So Carol will read the couple that we have on email first, and then we'll wait for the YouTube live stream to catch up.
Okay, we received one email regarding the Miller lot split from Omar and Stacy Lugo of Lugo Properties. And their comment was, applicant Raymond Miller and I, Omar Lugo, have a dispute for work that was performed for the off-site sewer portion to our 3240 Taylor Road project. The applicant has been made aware of this dispute since April 2nd of 2020, written and verbal. We request that Raymond Miller applicant 20-02 be held under the same equal due process that we Lugo property, Omar Lugo, were made to undergo during our approval process. We had a neighboring lot line issue with one neighbor that we had to mediate as a term for the acceptance of approval.
Okay.
Can you?
Usually, well, public comment, we just usually receive and file, and unless any Sean or Mary Beth or Carol, if you feel we need to respond to that. Otherwise, I don't know if that's in the purview of this meeting tonight.
Correct.
I didn't understand really what he's saying. I remember his, and basically they had to, they could not get their approval until they settled the issue with the lot line dispute with the lady next door. But I'm not sure I understand what this one is about, and is it germane or not? What is this one about? It's about the sewer line situation that we had to approve a year or two ago?
Correct. And that work at this point in time has not been completed. Although the conditions of approval, as stated in his letter, he wants to make sure that Miller's being treated and conditioned as he was. So I feel that our conditions for sewer, based on the agency comment, addresses those things. And he just wanted to get this on record that the dispute is happening, but technically it's between the two of them and not part of this application, is my take on it.
So our requirement for hooking up to sewer hopefully solves the issue?
Yes.
Okay.
He just wants to make sure he's treated fairly. Is that it? Okay.
Yeah, okay, well, I think as long as we feel comfortable that the standards that we're applying tonight are the same as we've applied everywhere, I think we're fine. And that issue can be taken up in another time and place. Okay, any other comments?
Looking at the live stream, we don't have any that have come in on YouTube. There's about a 30-second delay between what's happening live and what YouTube is showing. So generally at the council meetings, we ask for public comment and just kind of sit for about 30 seconds to make sure nothing else pops up. And if it doesn't, then we move on.
Public comment's been open for a couple minutes, so I think by now something should have popped up.
Yep.
So I think that's fine. Okay, so the next is the applicant has opportunity to respond to public comment. So go ahead, Richard, if you have any thing to say about that.
Are you talking about Lugo's information that was written to the council?
Yeah, that was public comment.
Okay, so The only response I have is that Lugo's acquired an offsite easement through the Miller property. Miller was part of the construction for the sewer line extension. And to the best of my knowledge, there was some additional work that was involved. They had to do some blasting. They had to do some dewatering. There was some relocation of the pipe. So there's a dispute about the extra work invoice that Miller has provided to Lugo. It's a civil matter. It has nothing to do with this application. We're not really using that sewer. If we are going to use that sewer, there's going to be a reimbursement that's going to be paid to
I might
Brandon
being temperamental. Yeah, no, we're satisfied. That's fine, Richard. That issue does not apply tonight. Okay, so at this point, with seeing no further public comment, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing on this item. Now we have staff can respond to any public comments, and then commission ask of any additional questions of staff. So any comments on that public comment from staff?
No.
Okay, commissioners, any further comments? If not, then we'll move forward to deliberation on this issue.
I think it was pretty straightforward.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, and so with that comment and seeing none others, we could go ahead tonight. The recommendation is to adopt the notice of exemption for the requirements of California environmental quality, and then to adopt Res. 22 approving the minor land division, etc. So we have a motion.
I motion to move to adopt the CEQA, the exemption from CEQA, and also the resolution number 20-02.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a roll call vote, please.
Yes, Commissioner Kelly,
Yes?
Commissioner Wilson,
Yes.
Commissioner Hogan,
Yes.
Commissioner London,
Yes.
Chairman Obranovich.
Yes. All right, thank you. That's been approved. So we'll go on to, one moment here. Next is the South Placer Fire District Design Review. It's 2006, which is the fire station right here in town on 5850 Horseshoe Bar Road. So if we can have staff report, please.
You bet. And because we don't have the audio, I'm just going to read it and go forward from there like I did last week with the Miller project. So this project is a design review for the South Placer Fire District at 5850 Horseshoe Bar Road and 3664 Magnolia Street. Shown as two separate parcels. However, last April, the fire department did a lot merger on those parcels and made them one. What I've learned about the Placer County Assessor's Office is when properties are merged that are publicly owned, they do not reassign the parcel numbers. So they're going to have to, because they're going to end up removing the house at 3664, and the whole parcel will become 5850 Horseshoe Bar. The design review approval is for a 3,820 square foot addition to the existing 4,800 square foot fire station, including demolition of an existing 1,648 square foot training facility, residential structure, although that's been used as a training facility for a number of years by the department. Also the removal of a 439 square foot outbuilding and a 360 square foot storage shed. The project is central commercial zoning. The existing 2 parcels total plus or minus 0.4823 acres and is shown in your maps. We also provide the topographical view, the aerial view, floodplain map exhibit. It is not within a floodplain or a floodway. Page 4 of the staff report shows the existing site plans for each parcel as independent. So as we go forward on page 5, you see the proposed site plan and how they're going to reconfigure once they remove the existing residence. As the figure in figure 6 indicates, fire trucks utilizing the new apparatus bays, visitors and staff will enter on the west side of the existing building on Horseshoe Bar Road. So they'll come in down that driveway on the side and then come back down behind Town Hall and the fire department and turn into the new apparatus bay facing Magnolia Street, so that when they get a call out, they're going to exit to Magnolia Street, turn left or right, go to Horseshoe Bar or Taylor, whichever way they go from there. They're very cognizant, and I'm sure they'll speak about this, about the residential neighborhood that they are adjacent to. They are providing parking, including handicap accessible parking along that Horseshoe Bar side. The required parking by land use table 3.7 requires 1 space per 250 square feet of office area, of government office space. As indicated in figure 6, there will be 8 parking spaces on the south of the parcel and 1 handicap van accessible parking space on the west, for a total of 9 on-site parking spaces. Based on an office area of 2,000 square feet, 8 spaces would be required. So their proposal complies with 9 spaces. 2 fire trucks will be housed in the existing apparatus bay, and as proposed, 2 fire trucks will be housed in the new apparatus bay. As I read that, I'm wondering if it's 1 and not 2, just based on the sizes of the buildings, but we can check with the chief when we bring him into this conversation. As I previously discussed, the trucks entering the new apparatus bay will enter from Horseshoe Bar on the west and exit through the parcel to the east onto Magnolia Street. We go on to general plan zoning and existing land uses. General plan provides on-site for town center commercial, north town center commercial, west town center commercial, south residential medium density, and the east is town center commercial. Zoning, central commercial, central commercial, central commercial, single family residential, RS5, that's on the south, and then central commercial on the east. And that same scenario carries forward with the current land use. The general plan designation of town center commercial is applied to approximately 39 acres along Taylor and Horseshoe Bar Roads to the area identified as the downtown core by the Loomis Town Center Master Plan prepared in 1992. According to the master plan, the downtown core describes an area where a variety of higher intensity uses are encouraged. Commercial uses along Taylor Road within the downtown core should evolve into a specialty retail shopping district that will serve both residents and visitors. The core should capitalize on its historic character, its existing fresh produce activities, the potential commuter rail stop, and its proximity to large number of residents and employees. The town center commercial designation is intended to accommodate a mixture of land uses with primarily retail, commercial, and office uses on the ground floors of commercial structures and residential units allowed on the second and third floors. The density of these mixed-use residential units should not exceed 15 dwelling units per acre. Building heights are limited to 3 stories or 35 feet, and site coverage may range from 35% to a maximum 100%, and allowable floor area may range from 0.35 to 1.6, with a floor area ratio greater than 0.50 allowed, only where parking is approved by the town to be either in parking structures that do not detract from the intentional pedestrian orientation of the downtown core, or in public parking lots or other approved off-site locations. Based on all of that and general plan, the proposal complies. We move on to zoning, and this relates to the Central Commercial District. And this Central Commercial District is applied to areas within the historic downtown appropriate for a mixture of land uses, primarily retail and pedestrian-oriented office uses on ground floors of commercial structures and residential units allowed on the second and third floors. The CC zoning district is consistent with and implements the town center commercial land use designation of the general plan. So the following areas are all in compliance, and that's based on minimum lot size, minimum lot width, minimum lot depth, minimum lot frontage, setbacks, front, side, and rear. So all of those items are in compliance with zoning. The proposed land use public safety facility is an allowable use in this zoning district, and as an existing use requires design review approval for the new construction. So as we know, the applicant is the fire department. The owner's representative is Don Mariano with Lionakis. They do have existing improvements for utilities, services, for sewer, trash, fire, gas, electric, water, and phone. As I mentioned before, the project is not within a floodway or a floodplain. So we kind of move into the design review aspect of the project. And design review is intended to ensure that the design of new proposed development and new land uses assist in maintaining and enhancing the small town historic and rural character of the community. Design review approval shall be required for all proposed non-residential development. For new construction within any zone, design review approval is required to ensure compliance with Chapter 1362 and to provide the following: architectural design, building mass and scale appropriate to and compatible with the site, surroundings, and the community. Provide attractive and desirable site layout and design, including but not limited to building arrangement, exterior appearance, and setbacks, drainage, fences and walls, grading, landscaping, lighting, and signs, and the like. Efficient and safe public access, circulation, and parking. Provide appropriate open space and landscaping, including the use of water-efficient landscaping. Provide consistency with the general plan and comply with any applicable design guidelines and/or adopted design review policies. So we move on to the picture shown in Figure 7, which provides the north, south, east, and west elevations with existing photographs of the existing conditions and the proposed additions. The north elevation photograph depicts the existing building frontage on Horseshoe Bar Road. As proposed, there are no changes to the front of the existing building. It will remain the same with a flat roof and parapet of a height of 13 feet. The existing truck apparatus bay on the front elevation will remain at 22 feet high and has a clay tile roof. The height of the proposed apparatus bay on the addition to the rear of the existing building is 27 feet 10 inches tall, which will be visible from the north elevation. So from Horseshoe Bar Road, you'll look at the existing building, and then back behind that you'll see the height of the new proposed apparatus bay. Maximum allowable height within this zone is 35 feet or 2 stories. They intend to do a standing seam metal roof for the addition. Oops, sorry. The east elevation, Magnolia Street side, proposes the addition of 999 square feet storage, laundry, common area, EMS room, turnout room, and a workout room, which will provide the connection to the 2,181 square foot apparatus bay. This portion of the exterior addition will match the existing east building elevation with a new covered walkway. The proposed apparatus bay addition is angled on the parcel to meet proper alignment for egress to Magnolia Street and provides 2 roll-up doors. The south elevation proposes the demolition of an existing 1,648 square foot training facility, which from the exterior appearance is a residential structure, and demolition of a 439 square foot outbuilding that's back behind that house. The existing cell tower and concrete pad will remain in place. 8 parking spaces are proposed on the southern property boundary in addition to landscaping. So they're putting the parking between where it changes from commercial to residential, so the parking will be along that southern side and give kind of a buffer from what happens inside that yard to the neighbor on that side. The west elevation proposes the demolition of the existing 300 square foot storage shed for creation of 1 handicap accessible parking space. The west elevation of the existing building will remain the same. As shown, the 2,181 square foot apparatus bay addition proposes 2 entry bay doors on the west. Period. The floor plan is included as Figure 9, and as proposed, the floor plan provides public access to the business office on Horseshoe Bar Road, a meeting room, 3 bedrooms, a dorm room, a day room, laundry, kitchen, turnout room, workout room, restrooms, and shower facilities, in addition to the apparatus bays. Landscaping, as depicted in Figure 10, the application proposes installation of new landscaping to the front of the building along Horseshoe Bar Road and along the south perimeter parking area of the parcel, including planting of shade trees at the west and southern property corners. As proposed, existing landscaping will remain with new shrubs planted along the eastern portion of the building. Future tree removal shall require tree permit approval with either replanting or payment of in lieu fees per inch of tree removed as outlined in the municipal code. On this particular parcel, there are no heritage trees or anything like that, but just to put people on notice, we kind of carry that condition forward with all applications so that they know if they do remove something, they're at least familiar with our tree ordinance and they know if they need to get approval for it or not. This application and project information and exhibit maps were sent to concerned agencies on March 6th, requesting their comments by April 3rd. Dated comments received are provided in Attachment C and are made part of the conditions of approval for this project. So there were a total of 8 responses received. Town Engineer, PCWA, South Placer Municipal Utility District, PG&E, United Auburn Indian Council, Shingle Springs Band of Miwok Indians, and then no comment responses were received from South Placer Fire and Placer County Environmental Health. CEQA, California Environmental Quality Act. The proposed project is an existing facility proposing an addition and is categorically exempt from CEQA pursuant to Section 15301E1 of the guidelines under the Class 1 categorical exemption. Class 1 consists of the operation, repair, maintenance, permitting, leasing, licensing, or minor alteration of existing public or private structures, facilities, mechanical equipment, or topographical features involving negligible or no expansion of use beyond that existing at the time the lead agency's determination. The types of existing facilities itemized below are not intended to be all inclusive of the types of projects which might fall within Class 1. The key consideration is whether the project involves negligible or no expansion of an existing use. Additions to existing structures, provided that the addition will not result in an increase of more than 50% of the floor area of the structures before the addition, or 2,500 square feet, whichever is less. So I did the math for you here. The existing structures, that's everything that's there, is 7,247 square feet. 50% of that equates to 3,624 square feet. So taking that existing structure, adding in the proposed addition, and then subtracting the demos, you end up with a total addition of 1,393 square feet, or a total addition of 19.2%. So in both scenarios, it complies. In light of all of that, staff recommends Planning Commission direct staff to file the notice of exemption for this project as shown in Attachment D. And that wraps up my report, sir.
That's the hard way to do it.
Yeah, it is. That's brutal.
Yeah, I know. We'll
Have that PowerPoint?
we'll get back to the old days.
Yeah.
So any questions or comments from Planning Commission on staff report?
I was wondering, Gene Wilson, on calculating the parking, I noticed that they're going from 13 to 9 spaces, and you've calculated it on the basis of the office space, but there are also going to be they're also going to be living in the residence. So is there some component that should take into account that it's not just office, but a residence space too? In other words, there are people that are staying there all the time, not just going into the office on office hours.
Yeah, and I believe, as shown, the office space is maybe 200 square feet. So it was kind of it could be recalculated to match the uses that are going there, if that would be your direction.
Well, I'm just concerned. I don't have any idea if they use the 13 spaces that are there. If those are needed and they're cutting it down to 9, but if they've got four people typically that are staying there, I don't know how their operation is. I don't know if that means that there are other people that come in. There are people in the office that are not the fire truck people. Are there other fire personnel that come in besides the 4 that are staying? In other words, how many people are there actually that we need to accommodate parking for? And I don't know how often those training sessions are and how many people come in for those, if there's parking needed for that, or do they just go down to the city lot, the town lot at the end of the block? That's possible too. But as far as the people that are always on site, I just want to make sure that the 9 are still enough.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent question for Chief Walder when he comes into this meeting. He knows his staff.
Okay. Any other questions, comments from staff or from commissioners to staff?
I think this was to staff. Linda Kelly. If you're requiring curb and gutter along both sides, Horseshoe Bar and Magnolia, will that prevent parking on one side of Magnolia? Will there only be parking on one side of Magnolia so that the trucks can come out, or will there still be parking on both sides? And will there be a keep clear on Magnolia and a keep clear on Horseshoe Bar?
There's a certain site distance requirement for driveways, and that may be a little enhanced for the fire trucks. So I don't think there'll be enough room for parking spaces between the intersection of Horseshoe Bar on Magnolia to the driveway, where I think today they actually do park there sometimes.
They do park there, yes.
There will be room for it, but if it doesn't meet the site distances, then we won't be able to have any parking there.
Will the street then be marked keep clear like it is on Horseshoe Bar on both?
Correct.
And so the keep clear will stay on Horseshoe Bar and you'll add one on Magnolia. Is that correct?
Well, the keep clear is so that people don't back up traffic.
Right, but
Yeah.
I mean, if they're going to be coming out Magnolia, you know.
So we wouldn't just that's not part of this project to do that, but if the fire department said there were people parked in their way as they were trying to get out, it's a problem that we would address if it comes up in the future.
I just didn't know how close the stop sign from Magnolia, how close the stop sign is, and if there would be cars backed up there. I don't know. I mean, it just seems kind of logical to keep clear of a fire station. Anyway, no matter what. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just a question.
Yeah, I don't think we have that much traffic going that way at this
Okay,
point.
good.
If it does become a problem, then we will address it and put a keep clear in front of that.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions from commissioners?
I think probably, Gene Wilson, probably my questions need to go to somebody from the fire department, probably.
Yeah. Okay, well, the next we're going to open up the public hearing on this application, and we're going to ask the applicant to, well, I would say come forth to
Virtually.
tune in and give their presentation, please. So if you first state your name, and then we'd like to hear from you. Thank you.
Go ahead, Chief.
Oh, okay. Well, thanks the commission for letting me speak tonight on the project. I got a little feedback here. I just will turn down my speaker a little bit. But we're excited to bring this forward to the community. It's going to enhance our operation in the downtown Loomis with the Loomis Fire District response area. We've been at that spot since the mid 30s. The truck room was built for the trucks that were built in the day, right? And we're putting modern fire apparatus in that old historic truck room. Anything we do on the trucks, we have to pull the trucks out and bring them around to the back where the truck room is proposed, and we do all our truck checks outside because we can't open the cabs inside the truck room. Really, that truck room was designed for the apparatus of the day. And so that's the first piece I want to talk about is to us, that's a historic truck room, the brick building. It was, like I said, built by the volunteers of the Loomis Fire District in the 30s. So our plan for the old historic truck room is to put both our antique apparatus in that truck room, put lighting on it, replace some of the doors so you have more windows to the antique apparatus. It's going to add to the downtown historic feel of Loomis as you're driving down Horseshoe Bar. So there's a little bit of history we're going to keep while enhancing the service to the community by bringing us forward to the next 30 years. That site is the best site for a fire station to serve the community of the South Placer Fire District in Loomis. We're right in the middle where all the population is, where all the where everything happens in Loomis. We're close to the schools. We have an excellent response time to the town of Loomis and to the unincorporated areas of Loomis. And there's no better spot for a fire station. With that, the Loomis Fire District had been saving for years to build the truck room expansion. And when we consolidated with the Loomis Fire District in 2017, we committed to the Loomis Fire Board that we would continue on with this project. And through the hard work of the Loomis Fire District, we have the cash money to build this project. Now, currently with the COVID situation, we're going to get the design approval ready to go, and we're going to build when the time is right. But we want to get the design through your commission, and then have a design ready build to go out to bid. Some of the benefits just increase the serviceability to the community and to our firefighters as far as having an area to work on your apparatus without having to go outside to do that. We are changing the direction of travel right now. The truck room, when we pull out onto Horseshoe Bar, that's an uncontrolled, that's why we have it do not block, because it's an uncontrolled road. We'll be going out Magnolia to a controlled intersection with a stop sign. It's a little a better situation for us as far as being able to come up to a stop sign and decide if we're going to go right or left. Is there going to be an impact to the local residential communities? Well, we're a fire station. We've impacted that area since the 1930s. We used to sound the siren every time to bring in volunteers. That was loud. Now every time we leave, we sound our sirens going down Horseshoe Bar past Magnolia. If we're checking the truck in the back area, we do respond out Magnolia right now. We could go right, we could go left, depending on how we get closest, get to the call the quickest. We will sound our sirens. It's the law. If we're going code 3 to an emergency, we can't not turn on our lights or turn on our sirens. If we do and we get in an accident, it'll be our fault. And we want to follow we don't want to break the law. So I want to make sure I cover a couple of things. There are 3 people on duty at that station 24/7. Sometimes we have 4 with an intern. There will never be more than 4 that are sleeping there overnight. So we could have 4 vehicles in the parking lot. At shift change, we could have 8 with people coming on, people leaving. If the battalion chief shows up, he'll probably park on the truck ramp. That there won't be any other vehicles there overnight. If there's a large event or something, we would probably, just like we do now, we use the town parking either down in the lot, or we do park along Magnolia as well. Let's see here. Some of the other questions that I heard. The training house has done us well for many years, but we bought that property back in 1999. When Loomis Fire District was Loomis Fire, that's where they trained all the time. We have a training facility down off Eureka Road in Granite Bay, where we have a training tower, some more props, and this is our main training facility. It's becoming more of a liability with that house. We did mitigate some lead paint in there in 2016. Quite a mitigation there to keep training inside. And there is asbestos in that house that we'll have to mitigate when we take it down as well. I don't believe that's a historic house. It was built in the 40s, late 40s, I believe. And at least any of the paperwork I found when we bought it, it didn't say anything about it being historic. I've talked about staffing levels, if we're allowed or not. I mean, we'll be, if we cannot sound our siren to be courteous to our neighbors, we will. But if there's any traffic or pedestrians nearby, we will be sounding our sirens like we do now. No different. We're just changing the direction of travel. Right now, we go out Horseshoe Bar and we come in Magnolia. Right now, all traffic leaves Magnolia as far as our employee traffic. And like I said, when we check our trucks, we pull out Magnolia to emergency calls as well. I'm trying to think of anything else. We're not going to see any more calls than we see right now. Right now that station runs about 13 to 1400 calls a year. We anticipate that to get busier as we get more population. But just because we're redoing the station doesn't mean we're going to get any busier. And I don't see us going to the right down Magnolia any more than we do now. I see them, for the most part, we'll be going left out to Horseshoe Bar, unless we would be coming, if right now, if the call warranted us to go come out the front of the station and go right on Magnolia, then I think that would be how we continue the operation. Yeah, is there any other questions the commission would like to ask? I might have been rambling.
So right now, we'll bring it back to the commission for any questions that they might have of you.
Okay.
I've got a few questions. This is Linda Kelly. Do you know what the total cost will be for the project, and are the mitigation fees enough to cover the cost at this time?
So right now, I believe it'll be about 1.5 million for this, and that is basically the district has saved that, and we have that in a reserve account for a facility.
What is, so the turning radius, with it being kind of off-center rather than straight towards Magnolia, the turning radius to turn right or left onto Magnolia isn't a problem with the new apparatus? Not the antique ones, but the newer apparatus? Okay.
No, I'm sure it's not at this point by our architect and by my apparatus specialist. I mean, really, I mean, if we could tear down the cell tower and move that, then I think it wouldn't be angled on the property. But that's a revenue generator for us, and the cell tower contracts are unwilling to move that cell tower for us. And like I said, it brings in revenue for us. It's in this, we have our siren, historic siren up on top of that. I think it brings in close to $45,000 a year for us. So that's why we're a little cattywampus on the lot. The turning radius to the left will be mitigated through, I forget the name of the curbing, but we'll be fine.
I was happy to hear that you're going to keep the antique apparatus in the old bay and possibly put more windows in so the kids can see it as you drive by. And that's a great idea. I love that. And so having the other bay, you'll just be housing two apparatus in there, because if there's more than two, then it kind of eliminates the drive-through thing happening. So there's just be two of the new apparatus in the new bay.
Well, I think right now the plan is to have the two apparatus that we have, the structure engine and the wildland engine. The apparatus will be big enough to go too deep. On maybe not two engines deep, but down the road we could put a ladder truck in there. The apparatus bay will be big enough I want to build it so it's big enough for us for 30 years as far as whatever kind of apparatus we need to put in there. I don't see there ever being more than four firefighters on duty at that station, and two apparatus, maybe storing a third one in one of the bays that isn't used very often. So.
One thing I noticed in the floor plan was the bathroom situation and the sleeping. If you ever have different genders than just all male in there, then will there be separate bathrooms for a trans firefighter or a female firefighter? Because right now I only see the chief has his own bathroom and shower, and then the other bathroom has two showers and two toilets, but there's no separation in there. So have you thought about that to accommodate different genders?
Yeah, I mean, right now the plan wasn't to redo the existing station, but I do know that we do have plans to, the one restroom on the left is I think it's designated. You're right. There is not a shower in there, but we will build that in. The good thing about that part of the station is it's got plenty of floor space to do arrangements. Those are built on portables from Dupnix with a brick facade, so you can move around in there pretty well and do additions. And so, but you're right. We do need to have gender neutral or non-specific restrooms, and we're doing that on all our remodels. So you are right.
Dorm room going to be used for? It says dorm room, but is that for when you have more than the norm there to sleep over, or is it going to turn into storage probably?
Well, right now everybody has their own bedroom right now, and we're striving throughout the fire district to make sure everybody has their own sleeping quarters. The days of the dorm room, that's probably the old dorm room. That's probably going to be the meeting room, if I remember that drawing correctly.
It's small, so you might want to take that wall in between the dorm room and the meeting room and make it one big meeting room. Yeah, just a suggestion. That's all I have. So I'm excited to see it happen, and good luck to you.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else?
Gene Wilson, I think I read that there was a well on the property. Is that your main source of water, or are you on city water and the well? What is the well used for?
I believe we're on city water. I don't think we're on well water.
Okay, maybe I misread that. I was a little surprised to see on the tree plan that you're planning to plant sycamores, and I think you might ask if that could be revised to your plant person, because sycamores provide wonderful deep shade, but they're also extremely messy, and they also are really hard. Their roots are really hard on infrastructure, tearing up sidewalks and streets, and greedy roots that don't grow much under them. So I would just suggest that you maybe talk to your landscape person about whether that's actually the best choice, even though there are sycamores around that area of town. If you look around what they've done to the roots have done, you might not want that happening, and they're also very, very messy with different things, different times of the year. Lived with a house with sycamores. Go ahead.
No, most definitely. I will get with my landscape people. I don't want a messy tree. I mean, so I think we can make that adjustment really easy.
Let's see. I guess a lot of my concerns have to do with the neighborhood, and you've talked about that some, that the people are used to it. It looked to me like the trucks are going to come out further because of the angle. If they do go right down Magnolia, that they're going to come out further into the across from more houses than they would have before if you were coming straight out that driveway and turning right. My concern is for the neighborhood, and one of the things that we're supposed to be doing in design review, and I pulled out even the instructions on that from our zoning ordinance and general plan, and looked at design review, and it's not just whether we think this project does a good job for you guys, which I think it does, but what is the impact on the neighborhood. I guess I was kind of disappointed in the write-up in, is it Leonakis? In their description of the area, because it doesn't really fit this part of Loomis at all. It says, the community is characterized as a bedroom community with high-end value homes and light commercial development. The average square footage for new residential homes is over 6,000 square feet, with many homes over 12,000 square feet in size. The Loomis Basin is home to, anyway, orchards and things. And I thought, if you look at our planning status report, we had all of 3 new home permits last year and 4 this year. And I would guess that most of those are probably Montserrat, which is building out, and those are large homes. But I meant to bring with me, and I didn't bring it, Leslie Reed, who's a local realtor, and I get her newsletter of sales in Loomis. And when you look at that, the sales in-town sales in Loomis ran from about $350,000 to $550,000, and they're smaller homes. And the only one that was above that was one on Marita Lane for $750,000. So I felt like this was a misleading description of the town part of Loomis, and particularly the area where the fire department building is. So when I saw that, I was concerned that whoever wrote this up, and maybe your designer didn't really care about the street that you're on and the community that exists there and value it for what it is. And in particular, I was surprised to see no mention of the training facility, that residence, because when we get projects, bigger projects that want to come in and they bring us their ideas for what kind of buildings they want to put up and what kind of architecture, inevitably, one of them is craftsman. And usually the picture that we get, the photograph we get, is the one that you're going to demolish. So it's kind of looked at as that's one of the epitome kind of old Loomis sort of buildings. And to you, it's just a training facility, but the architecture of that is kind of important to the town. And so I was just kind of disappointed here to see it just sort of, oh, well, demolish it. It's old and has asbestos, so, you know, we don't need it, so trash it. It has more value than that, I think, to a lot of ways to Loomis. And I don't know a way around that. This is one of the few projects that I wish we could have had maybe some input a little bit earlier, because maybe something could have been worked out, or it could have been offered for if anybody could take it on and move it to someplace else in the in-town area. I don't really like the angle of the new garages. I understand a little better from you why you're doing it, because of the cell tower, I guess. I don't know what it takes to move a cell tower. Maybe it's too much, but I don't think it's attractive to have that going out that direction. And I think it also puts trucks a little more awkwardly to turn. I suppose, you know, I don't know what that's like. I assume that you've got approvals on that turn radius to turn it from the angle. I wonder if that inclines you to go down Magnolia more, but you said you're already going down some. I wouldn't want to see any more truck traffic on Magnolia than there has to be, because obviously there's no sidewalk there, no bike paths, people walk there. And we're supposed to, in design review, be looking at architecture and community compatibility and safety and things like that. So it's a hard thing to have to look at that and also say, hey, this is great for the fire department, and I really want to see this all the way it is. But there are things, if I had my druthers, I wouldn't want that building to be just disappearing. It's kind of at the entryway to the characteristic old-timey street is Magnolia in older Loomis, and so it's bothersome to me that that's going with no more thought than dismissing it, apparently because it's not one of the 6,000 to 12,000 square feet homes that are characteristic, according to your report, for the town.
Okay. All right, thank you, Gene. Mike?
You guys comment on that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I'm sorry that the report came off like that. I think my Lionakis, who's probably did that report, did it for the whole South Placer Fire District, which includes Granite Bay and the unincorporated parts of Loomis and the town of Loomis. So I'm sure that was probably taken from a previous project we had within the district at another station. But the trips down Magnolia aren't going to change at all. Right now, we come in on Magnolia with our fire trucks all the time, and we go out Horseshoe Bar. We're just changing the direction. The amount of times we're on Magnolia isn't going to change. We're just going to be leaving more out Magnolia than we do right now. Right now, we pull into the back of the station and pull out Magnolia. Anytime we have to work on the truck or do any kind of training or anything, it's going to have reduced amounts of trucks around the training facility. That facility just doesn't work for us anymore. And I'm in the business to provide the best service to the town of Loomis and to the citizens of the fire district. And that old house just doesn't do it for us. If someone wants to come and offer me to take that house away for free and put it somewhere, I would say they come to me in the next few months, and we could work something out. But if it was a historic building, I know it's a great craftsman, old building, but for the fire district, it doesn't work. And I'm in the business of providing a great service to the citizens that need us, and that building's going to help us do that for the next 30 years. It's going to look great. We're going to add stuff to the as far as features to the community, sidewalks, ADA, and it's going to set us up to be a continued part of the downtown Loomis area for the next 30 to 40 years. Thank you.
Okay. Any other commissioners? Got something, Mike? Bonnie?
Yes, this is Bonnie. Can you hear me okay? Okay, thanks. So thanks, Chief Alder. I would have to agree with Jean that it is really sad to see the Craftsman be torn down. I believe that it was actually built like in the 1920s, which would make it almost 90 years old. And I drove around the area several times. A big part that comes out through the general plan is to try to retain our historical roots in downtown Loomis. And yet, when you drive around, we actually don't have that many old original historical homes left. So that I would have to agree with Jean. That's a hard one for me as well. I do appreciate the historical features that you're going to be putting into the Old Bay. I think that that's a real nice added benefit. I have two questions. And I guess the first is, you had indicated that this is the best site. And so I was curious to find out, what kind of site, other sites that you might have sought or looked into, just because it seems such a strange location right there in the heart of downtown at the crossroads of Horseshoe Bar and Taylor, which really is the highest traffic point that we have. So I'm curious, what other sites you looked at, and then also what kind of community outreach has been made to the neighbors on Magnolia. Thank you.
Go ahead, Chief.
So as far as we know it's the best site because we've been running the response times there for the last since the 1930s, and specifically since the 80s when we started doing EMS. We've consistently met our response time criteria through the county and that the district set. We don't have the money to build a brand new station. A brand new station is going to cost us $6 to $7 million. We don't have that kind of money. Relocating is not an option. I think, and I don't think we would get a centrally located lot anywhere that we could build where we'd have the funds to do that. I'm trying to fulfill our promise to the Loomis Fire District and what we promised, you know, the Loomis Fire District Board when we consolidated. And I think it's just not a functional fire truck room right there. We do all our work out back, pointing out towards Magnolia and leaving that way. I mean, drive by, look, we load hose behind the station and we leave and do that through Magnolia. We come in every day through Magnolia. The trips aren't going to change. The trucks are loud. They're coming in on Magnolia, leaving Horseshoe Bar. We're going to be coming in off of Horseshoe Bar and leaving on Magnolia. So with that, you know, we've had multiple meetings at the fire district. We've been in discussions with our neighbor, specifically that is impacted on Magnolia. We've been in contact with Chief Horton, who owns the properties across the street. So we've had notice meetings. We've had public in our meetings voicing some concerns over the same stuff as far as more trips down Magnolia. I think it's change people are really worried about. And, you know, some change is good, and I believe some change is bad. But I think in the long run, this is good for the community of Loomis. And it's not going to increase your trips. It's going to, like I said, make your fire department that much more prepared to do our business. So we've had some outreach, notice meetings. We had some public meetings at the station doing the design review. We've had residents from Loomis come to those meetings. So.
Okay, thank you. This is Chairman Abranovich. I got one comment. I guess it's in front on Horseshoe Bar Road. Do you guys, and this is not going to really affect this project, but are you thinking along the lines for maybe in the future the possibility of putting a signal out there to stop traffic? Because Horseshoe Bar Road is increasing in traffic, and it might be getting to be more challenging to get your apparatus out on that road because, you know, people get confused and don't realize where the sounds are coming from.
Yeah, I mean, really, that's one of the things we're up against right now with coming out onto Horseshoe Bar Road. That whole uncontrolled intersection is so busy. We do have the ability to, or we used to turn the intersection at Horseshoe Bar and Taylor Road to stop that intersection. But you know, it's so hard coming off onto that little truck. We've got like 20 foot of truck ramp, and half of our engine is sticking into the building coming out onto Horseshoe Bar Road. And it's really, we've had safety consultants out, and it's just not safe to be coming out the front of the station. One of those bays is a back end bay, so that you see on Horseshoe Bar. There's only one drive through, and that's the larger apparatus. So my employees have to get out on Horseshoe Bar and get out in that traffic and back an engine into the bay. So really, it's really about safety and making a building that can be used into the future for the community. Right, we're still going to have the antique truck room for pancake breakfast at the Eggplant Festival. You know, we're going to be active in the community, I think, with the antique apparatus with lights shining on them, and we'll make a little fire museum. It's just going to enhance the community that much more. So.
Thank you.
I have a question for Britt, our town engineer. Can you, just off the top of your head, what is kind of planned for that section of Taylor Road as far as what's likely to go in when we get to it?
In that section of Taylor Road, we had a stop signal there. In our latest circulation element update, we're looking at a traffic circle for where Library comes into Horseshoe Bar and Magnolia. The configuration of that intersection is not going to work for a signal. So in the future, it'll most likely be a traffic circle.
And the new traffic circle is adequate for the new larger trucks?
Yes. Yeah. All new traffic circles are designed to accommodate fire apparatus.
Okay, so I think at this point we'll go ahead and move this discussion to open it up to public comment. Do we have anything up there?
I have two emails that I received in the way of comments regarding the fire project. The first one is from T. Johnson, whose residence address is on Magnolia Street. His comment is that I have reservations about the fire district's plan for primary dispatch of fire trucks from Station 18 onto Magnolia Street instead of directly onto Horseshoe Bar Road following the completion of Phase 1 Station 18 truck room. Fire trucks have been dispatched directly onto Horseshoe Bar for the last 61 years. Magnolia Street is a narrow residential street without sidewalks or street lighting, along with at least a half a dozen residents in close proximity to the fire department. Dispatching fire trucks 24/7 onto Magnolia Street through residential areas with emergency lights and sirens, and then transitioning onto busy Horseshoe Bar or Taylor Road is a compromise at best to dispatching trucks directly onto Horseshoe Bar Road. It should be noted that Station 18 is located on a small 0.48 acre parcel. As I understand it, the proposed positioning of the Phase 1 truck room relative to the existing Station 18 structures, as well as the lack of available building space on the parcel, are the reasons for redirecting primary dispatch of the fire trucks onto Magnolia Street. Thank you for your attention.
Okay.
The second one that we received is from Ed and Marianne Horton. It says, this letter is in reference to the South Placer Fire Protection District building in Loomis. We are the owners of 3661 Magnolia Street, which is east of the proposed project. As the retired Loomis fire chief, I understand the need to expand the station as our community grows and welcome the chance to provide comments related to this project. The home at 3661 Magnolia Street is a single-family residence which faces the project. We ask that proper assurances are included that restrict noise and light levels related to the fire district operations on Magnolia Street in the future. Our property is downslope of the Horseshoe Bar and Magnolia Street and still gets runoff from the streets when the gutters next to the fire station are not kept clean. Please keep in mind that this is a mixed-use area. Thank you, Ed and Marianne Horton.
Then on YouTube, we have several comments that have come in. First one from Miguel Yukovich. How does this fit into the downtown plan that allows for commercial and residential uses? That's probably for you, Mary Beth. So his question was, how does this fit into the downtown plan that allows for commercial and residential uses?
I'm not sure how to respond to that, because based on zoning, the approved existing use that is adjacent to the residential use, it's the way that it is. I'm not sure if I'm...
So I guess the question would be, is there a conflict with the downtown master plan if...
No.
Okay.
It complies.
Right. And then the other comments that I got are from Selim Abraham. His comment is, so we're worried about the cost of putting a restroom at the skate park. Now we have to worry about budgeting for a trans bathroom. This is ridiculous. Can we rewind time 10 years?
Yeah. Good luck.
I asked if he wanted me to read that. He said yes. That's all that we have on YouTube that's come forward.
Okay.
I have another quick question for Britt, if that's okay. So if they're coming out on Magnolia and then they're going to turn right at I presume at the first street, which is the town parking lot, and come out there between Main Drug and the building next to it, there's no light there either, is there? So they're going to be coming out onto Taylor without a light, and maybe people not expecting it as much as they even would going by a fire department. Is there any problem with that?
I don't see a problem with that. I don't. People have to keep that intersection clear. so they're not going to be stopped there. I think this is probably better answered by the fire chief, but all the backed up traffic at the stoplight of Taylor and Horseshoe Bar is an obstacle for the fire department now. So if they go down Magnolia and then up Walnut to get onto Taylor, they're bypassing some of that congestion.
Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead, Chief.
Yeah. The public comment?
No, that's it.
Okay, then we'll go ahead and bring this back to Chief to reply or respond to public comment.
So yeah, it was really hard to hear some of that conversation, but I think it had to do with going down Magnolia and taking a right to get to Taylor. Is that what I heard?
Or a left.
Yeah, I don't think, I think it's not going to change the frequency of the time we go right on Magnolia. I think depending on where the call is the amount of time we'll go right on Magnolia. I think really for the most part we'll be going out left to Horseshoe Bar. And, if the call is in the part of the town where the fire captain makes a decision to go right to get to the call quicker, then we're going to go right as we do right now. We'll come out, go right on Horseshoe Bar and go right on Magnolia, lights and sirens, and we'll get to the call as quick as we can for the community. So that's my passion, is responding fast, quick, trained, and ready to go. As far as the noise on Magnolia, that training house is noisy, right? Chainsaws, ladder trucks, fire pumpers. The noise is probably going to be decreased when we move the training house, or the training house is demolished. One of the two. I think the fire district needs this project to move forward. The community's funds have been saved over time to meet the need, and I'm looking forward to being able to continue the great service to the community that we do now out of a new facility. So any more questions from the commission?
Okay.
I had a question. So the reason the new garage has to be angled is basically because the cell tower people don't want to move the cell tower?
I think I heard that we have to have the station at an angle because of the cell tower. Is that what the question was? I think we can move the cell tower, but it would cost us the fire district, close to $500,000 to do it, and then we wouldn't be able to afford the remodel project. So there's compromises all around. The fact that we've gone out the front for 65 years doesn't make it right. That was right when we were in a 1945 Ford open cab. It's not right when we're in a 2018 $700,000 fire apparatus that doesn't barely fit inside that truck room. So, we were a full volunteer response back then. Now we're 3.0 ALS with paramedics, and we're a different mission per se.
Okay, I think we're gone to the point where we're going to go ahead and close the public hearing section and bring it back to staff to respond to public comments if they so choose to do so. You guys have anything you wanted to say? No?
No, thank you.
Okay, that's fine, thanks. Okay, so next now we'll bring it back to council for deliberation and discussion. Commission.
Are you running, Greg?
No, I'm not.
Are we is there some way to let the community know if someone wants that house? I mean, I think
I'm sorry, to let them know.
that if somebody wants the house to move the house, they can have it. I mean, that's kind of a cool thing. Is there some way we can let the community know within a month, someone needs to come forward.
Don't know the best way to do that.
Yeah.
And who would handle it. I don't know if that would be the purview of the fire department. I mean, anybody can put it out on the Facebook.
Yeah.
And I don't know, is that appropriate for the town government page, Sean, or
That
no?
wouldn't be something that the town would be doing because it's not our building. It'd be something that the district would do if they were willing to do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I think it would be nice to encourage the fire district to go ahead and move along those lines. And if there is an opportunity, to go ahead and do that. So, but it might take the motivation of individuals who are, interested in seeing that happen to maybe drive that a little bit.
I wonder if the Heritage Foundation might be interested in preserving that some way too.
Well, that's a good thought. So we'll contact them and ask. So, excuse me, this mask drives me nuts. Okay, well, what's before us here is we've conducted the public hearing, and there's two items of business would be to adopt the recommended notice of exemption for the CEQA, and then to adopt resolution 2006 to approve the design review and application. So I did not recall any commissioners actually suggesting any changes to the any conditions or anything like that. So it sounds like basically we have some suggestions that we're not going to condition. So with that said, anybody, unless there's other comments, we can move along and ask for a motion.
I would like, this is Mike Hogan. I would like to make a motion that we approve the findings of a categorical exemption as detailed in Exhibit A, Design Review number 20-06. And I also would make a motion that we approve resolution, what would the resolution attachment A be?
It's 26.
Well, the back one says 20.
It's attachment A.
They're both the same? One says 20-blank.
The application number is 20-06. The resolution number is blank pending its approval.
Okay.
And it's attachment A.
So I would recommend that we approve the resolution as depicted in attachment A.
Okay, a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
Commissioner Wilson?
Only because I cannot make the finding about the community and that aspect of it, no. I can't make that finding.
Commissioner Hogan?
Yes.
Commissioner London?
Yes.
Chairman Obranovich?
Yes. Okay, motion's approved. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Chief.
All right, thank you, everybody. The next is the Planning Director's report.
Yay. Here comes the good part, you guys. Even though we've kind of been on lockdown, things still happen. So, couple of updates, Costco. The final environmental impact report was released last Friday with a 10-day circulation period from June 26th through July 6th. The Planning Commission public hearing will be held on Tuesday, July 7th at the Blue Goose Event Center with required social distancing guidelines adhered to very strictly. We're doing a test run tomorrow as far as how that's going to all get set up and everything, and we'll be in good shape for next Tuesday. So whatever the Planning Commission's recommendation at that time, it will be forwarded to the Town Council in August of 2020. Staff has submitted another SACOG grant for, it's called LEAP, Local Early Action Planning Grant, in the amount of $65,000. That application is due tomorrow, and it will provide additional funds for the town for the preparation and adoption of planning documents and process improvements to accelerate housing production and facilitate compliance and implements the 6th cycle of your RHNA, your Regional Housing Needs Assessment. The town will be able to utilize this grant to further completion of the general plan housing element and related documents, which is my segue to the general plan update. Due to our COVID pandemic, general plan kind of got a little backlogged and experienced a little delay, but staff continues to fulfill the state deadline requirements for completion of the housing element in 2021. I believe that's May of 2021. The kickoff of the general plan update began August in last year, and as you're aware, we provided many different elements, speakers, topics, environmental justice, circulation, air quality. Your last presentation in that series will be at your next meeting in July, and that'll be on wetlands. You'll get a little training on wetlands from the biological consultant. Staff issued a request for proposals on the general plan housing and land use elements in May. The responses were received by June 22nd. This afternoon, we met, reviewed those proposals, and are formulating our recommendation to council to proceed on those. So that it's kind of a short crunch, but I'm hoping to have that for the July 14th meeting for their approval and totally launch our general plan update, which will include all elements, starting with housing and land use, where everything else will kind of float down with those documents and be updated at the same time. So once we get it rolling, I think it'll go pretty quickly. Robust public meetings, although we have to do them properly for social distance. We're looking at doing hopefully an outdoor, we talked originally about a couple of kickoff workshops, just general public. We're looking at possibly doing those outdoors with followed social distancing, because outdoor is better than indoors. And then those first 2 meetings will be everybody and all of the elements and the overview and people coming through and asking questions, and then going forward to write their comments and submit them back. We get those back, and that's when those committees will be formed, and we'll break up probably via Zoom meetings with those committees to continue work on those elements and further the process. So kind of excited about that. A little scary in this time of life to be doing this, but I feel pretty confident that we can successfully get it forward. We have to. The state hasn't issued any kind of extension on the deadline for the housing element, so we got to do it. It's the lighting, or is it me? There, see, I have to get it farther away. Okay, that's your general plan update. And then odds and ends. This was written for last week's meeting, and there was a state of the town update that the mayor provided with some other local officials, and I participated. It was a great discussion. So sorry it kind of happened. If you didn't get to see it, I'm sorry.
It's on the government website. I think there's a link, and you can click on it and watch it.
And watch it again?
Yeah, on Zoom. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Yeah. Town Hall continues public counter hours Monday through Thursday from 9 a.m. to noon. Building inspections Tuesday through Friday. That kind of keeps changing the more things kind of open up, but building inspections have been pretty busy. And town staff continues rotational schedules. So somebody may be there in the morning, they leave at noon, the next person comes in from 1 to 5, and some people are kind of in and out. So what we do, and we circulate around the office so that we all follow the same path. You don't go through the building inspector's office. We're keeping him safe. So we have a pretty good system at Town Hall for what we're doing. We wear our masks whenever we're outside of our offices, and everybody is very respectful for that, and I'm grateful for that kind of support from everybody. I feel real comfortable with the people that I work with. The Loomis Library remains closed to the public. However, they continue to serve the public through a summer reading challenge program. It's an app-based portal. They're doing the curbside service and keeping busy in way different means. It's a totally different environment they're dealing with, but they're doing a really, really good job. Town Manager Tuesday events will be returning next month. And I'm not sure how that's going to work, but I'm sure it'll be some kind of Zoom meeting, or maybe at the library outside and social distancing where you can still come and meet and talk. Maybe it'll even be here. I don't know.
Outside.
Yeah. Okay. So, we're trying to do what we can do as safely as we can. And we're all very cognizant of everybody else. So I'm very respectful and grateful for that. And that's my wrap.
Okay, great, thank you.
Maybe I could add a couple things that the library is doing. If you're not on their email list, they do story time online these days. And this month, they're doing craft packets for kids, so you can order it and have it, you go and pick it up outside. This summer, they've recently added ebooks and audiobooks. We did not used to have that service. And right now, Sarah has money. If there's some book that you would like to request that is not in the system, you can ask for that, and most likely they'll be able to get it. So they're working to keep things going, and I expect this has probably given them time to catch up on some of the things that you would always like to do, but there's never time to do it when you're so busy as they usually are.
Can I add one thing?
Oh, yeah.
Because, I wrote my report for you guys last week, and on Costco, I just want to reiterate that the final environmental impact report has been distributed. There are USB flash drives available for free with the whole document on it at Town Hall if anybody wants to pick one up. We have the printed huge binders for sale if anybody wants the paper copy of that, and I believe that's $150 to purchase it. And it is also available to review on the town's website under current projects, planning department current projects page.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I'd comment that website is improving all the time, and it's really getting to be very user friendly. You can find things, and it's great.
Yeah, the new site launched last week. We launched it on Wednesday night, no, Thursday morning, and then posted the Costco final EIR on Thursday afternoon. Because the new website wasn't, there's still some pieces that need to be filled in, but I didn't want to have EIR going on the old site, switch it over a week after, have people have to figure out where it is on the new. So we just launched the new site, got it up and running, and then posted the final EIR. So if you have any comments or any concerns about the website, make sure to email them, send them to the Town Hall email address. It's townhall@loomis.ca.gov. Mm-hmm. But that website was put together during the pandemic by Sarah Day in our front office with a consultant that we hired to do that. So, but she basically did all the work on it.
Wow.
I checked in every once in a while and told her that I liked the colors or whatever. So, she did a great job though with it.
Yeah, it's very nice. Great. Okay, the next section is, we've kind of already moved into that, is commission reports. So if any commissioners have any items that are not on the agenda or want to bring up now's that time. Okay, I think we've already gotten all that in. So, okay, so we're about ready to adjourn. I'd just like to always remind people the next meeting, which is next Tuesday, is that right, at 7 o'clock, 1900?
July 7th.
The what?
July 7th?
July, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At 7 o'clock at
Correct.
the Blue Goose.
Oh, thank you for that. Okay, at the Blue Goose.
Will we be sitting like all apart from each other like this?
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you want to describe the format, actually, it's pretty interesting that if you're going to start, is that going to be the larger meeting where we expect a lot of public, and you're going to, at the Blue Goose, and you're going to have people will be queuing outside, you're going to have outside monitors, public
Correct.
comment that will be escorted one at a time into the building for comment.
public
They'll
comment.
exit and the next person comes in, so,
Yeah.
it's,
Not necessarily long, but we're doing a test run on how we're going to set it up and everything tomorrow. So what you just described may change a little, but yeah, we have to. We've got the attorneys and applicants. Some of them will be on Zoom. Attorneys will be present. Costco reps will be present. The consultants that worked on traffic. And the EIR and all of that will be on hand to answer people's questions.
it'll be a little more active.
Yeah.
So about how many people are you expecting?
Unknown.
But still, what's inside the building itself, there'll just be these core group.
No, inside the building, we were actually going to open it for public to access. Put the blue tape down, make sure that we have the social distancing with the chairs and separated them out, and have a mask requirement for you to get in, and then have a queue line set up with basically like channels with the blue tape to keep people where they're supposed to go. If we reach the capacity, which I doubt that we will, but if we reach the capacity of the 25%, which is about 100 people, then we would have people start lining up outside. That building does have speakers outside on the building itself. Excuse me, on the outside. So we could have people outside. But at this point, I think that the likelihood of having that many people show up to where we would be maxed out on capacity, I don't think we're going to get there. So Costco reps will actually all be calling in on Zoom now because they don't want to fly and try to find a hotel. They're all down south in Orange County. And so at one point they were going to drive up, but they realized that the meeting is probably going to go kind of late. And so rather than trying to drive up, then drive back at 2 o'clock, it's not going to go till 2 o'clock, but that late they don't want to drive back. So they're gonna Zoom it in.
Yeah, I'd like to kind of maybe emphasize that as public comes in, that we strictly enforce the mask, and people have mixed feelings about it, then I think the meeting won't continue if people are going to go in there without a mask.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
So churches have a limit of 100, but public meetings don't have any limit except...
It's 100 people or 25% of the capacity, and the capacity of the building is like 300 and almost 400 people. So 25% of that's 100.
Will you have PPE for those?
We're going to have boxes of masks for people to get if they don't have one. Yeah. We're also not going to have a podium. I'm going to set up a microphone stand, so the microphone will be sitting on a stand so people won't grab it the way that they tend to hold on to the edges of the podium when they're talking. So we'll have that set up as well. And if we get to a point where there's a lot of people, we'll shut the door and basically tell people that they'll need to stand outside, listen on the speaker, we'll give them numbers, and then we'll call out the numbers when we get to that point, if they want to comment.
So if the people inside comment, will we have to leave so someone else can come in? After the people comment, will they be asked to go outside so then another person will be able to?
If we have a lot of people waiting outside, yeah, we'll do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I think maybe in conclusion, was the audio okay? Any comments that people could not hear us, or do you think it was all right?
It was fine up until the end, and then all of a sudden the Zoom feed kind of dropped out. When Chief Waldo, you noticed that his side, so the microphone dropped out at the same time. I'm not sure what happened with that. It might be either something with the microphone, or it might be internet. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, but the mask didn't seem to be that big of a deal.
No, in fact, I went back and listened on YouTube on my phone, and it sounded very clear.
Good, okay, great. I think that's
Yeah.
lucky there. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and close the meeting. Thank you, everybody.